Hey everybody, welcome to the 3R Show, the right, the wrong, and the random. I'm your host, Robin Browning, and the 3R Show is dedicated to talking about all things right, wrong, and random in the world of basketball. Now, I do not like to do this alone, so, always, when I'm in a pinch, I can always count on my right-hand man, Palmer Alexander III from the St. Louis American. He joins me today. Thanks for joining me, Palmer.
Thanks as always. Welcome me on your show. I feel like I'm in your house, so I gotta be on my best behavior.
Well, you know what? Today's topic, it could be all loose right now. I am opening up a Q&A for people who want to come in and ask questions because this time it's going to be a little bit serious. But we'll start off with good news first, and we'll get through that. The good thing that's been right in the world of basketball that I have to highlight since the last time that I have been on the air, we've had Becky Hammon become the first women's basketball coach or assistant basketball coach in the NBA. This is a huge achievement and a step forward in women becoming more, getting their foot in the door in the NBA. The NBA is leading the way in diversity, so this is one more step. And once again, the Spurs keep winning. She is now an assistant coach with the Spurs. The Spurs are always ahead of the game in the past 10 years or plus more with innovations, and here they are again winning.
Right, right, right. And I think they couldn't have picked a better person than Becky Hammon. And I tell you, she is a phenomenal player. I remember when she first broke into the WNBA with the New York Liberty. And
Hmm.
even at that time, a lot of the league focus was on Lisa Leslie and Cynthia Cooper and Tisha Pinachero and Tina Thompson. But quiet as kept, Becky Hammon has put together a Hall of Fame type of career. So I'm very happy for it. And listen, I think she fits the NBA mold. She has that respect, and like you alluded to earlier, the San Antonio Spurs are light years ahead of many organizations, and it is a great moment for Becky Hammon and for the NBA again, showing that they are willing to be more progressive in that area.
Right. I mean, I can't knock this at all. This is just great. It's really more so about time. We already have Stephanie Reddy as a coach in the development league, but
Right.
to be in the NBA 82 games or more, that's an achievement in itself. Now, Becky Hammon is going to retire from the WNBA at the end of the season. Let's stay with the WNBA. This has been a great season, Palmer. I mean, the action has been great. The numbers for viewing have shot up some. At a time when people were wondering and questioning, do we still need the WNBA? The viewership has gone up a little bit, and I'm just excited for the playoffs. I still think that a Western Conference team is going to win, either Phoenix Mercury or the Minnesota Lynx. And Maya Moore, I think hands down, she will be the MVP.
Well, I think when you're looking at the Western Conference, and I think the tide is going to come out of the West, but I think overall the league as itself has weathered the storm. I mean, when you lose a person like Lisa Leslie,
Hmm.
the league kind of went down. I mean, you had some of your marquee players like Shamika Holdsclaw and switching teams, and then Rebecca Lobo didn't play as long as they thought.
Right.
But now, you got the Diana Taurasi's, the Brittany Griners, the Ogumake with the LA Sparks, Della Don with Chicago, Daughtry with the Atlanta Dream. So there, and Skylar Diggins is playing phenomenal for the
Yes.
Tulsa Shock. So all throughout the league. All throughout the league, there's plenty of parity. And listen, it's great basketball to watch.
Right.
And like you said, this is one of the best seasons that I've witnessed in years. And actually, that's why I've been watching more because of the talent. And, you know, it
Yes.
goes back to the college game, too. I
Yeah.
think, you know, some of these players coming out of these schools like Connecticut and Louisville and Notre Dame, I mean, they are putting some great talent in the league. And it's really good to see. And hopefully, you know, the league will start to expand.
Yes. Hopefully that now that the viewership is up and people can see that maybe they'll get back to making a profit again, that we'll see expansion and more talent even from Europe, Australia, those women come over and play as well. And oh, forgot about Angel McCautry too, out of
Yeah,
Atlanta,
yeah.
having an outstanding season, is still having an outstanding season, keeping it up from last season as well. So,
And Shawnee Schimmel, too. You can't leave her out, too.
right, yeah, the All Star game that was just played was one of that has been the best game that we've seen since the WNBA has been created. Probably since that first season, because then you had all the dream team players out there and you're reliving that, and all your highlighted name players from back in the day that you had seen, like Teresa Weatherspoon and those women. um, it's now the tide has changed, and like you said, the college game has grown and it has become even more competitive, and that parity of talent, and it's just better. So
Yeah,
men, please watch the WNBA games. And the
yeah.
casual fan is okay. The tickets are cheap. If you have nothing to do, go to the WNBA game in your city.
And one player I didn't mention, Candace Parker. Again,
Yes,
I know Diane Taurasi and Maya Moore and the Golden Catos, but Candace Parker still is one of the premier players in that league. She is still the straw that stirs the drink. I mean, she just makes so many great things happen. But like I say, the future is so bright for the league with the Gumake sisters playing so phenomenal. And I'm
yes,
telling you, I really see the Sparks getting a title in the near future. I mean, they got a great backcourt. And they play fundamentally sound ball. They just gotta stay healthy. But again, from a product standpoint, listen, they got a great thing going, and I'm happy to see it. Listen, that league is coming up on 20 years, Robin. So again, my
yeah,
hats off to the WNBA as a whole because they're doing the right thing.
right. All right, Palmer, this is going to wrap up our right segment, and now we're going to enter into the wrong. Okay, everybody. Now, you all know that what's going on, at least nationally, and this is a show based out of St. Louis. So you know that the neighboring suburb out here with Ferguson, and a young man was killed by a Ferguson police officer over the weekend Saturday, and unrest has occurred in this town, and we need to talk about it. I know this show is about sports and especially basketball, but this needs to be talked about. It's beyond basketball. Um, First things first, Palmer and I actually are from the North County area and have grown up there, educated in the North County area. I actually was educated in the Ferguson Florissant School District. So we know that area very well, where Michael Brown was killed. And what we need to focus on, though, the first thing I want to ask you, Palmer, the way that policing has changed from growing up when we were youngsters and teenagers to now, it just night and day. Tell me about your first interaction, whether it be St. Louis County police, or whether it's some small municipality, whether it's Ferguson, Florissant. Bell Fountain neighbors, whatever. Can you tell me about your first incident with a St. Louis County Police Department?
One thing that sticks out. First, the first time I ever was pulled over was about 20 years ago, and I was in Moline, and Moline has a reputation too for being sticklers for any and everything.
Hmm.
And I did a stop and roll, and it was a white officer that pulled me over near the St. Louis County Library, and I mean he was reading me the riot act and pointing at me and telling me I could have killed somebody and stuff and things of that nature. And I can understand him trying to make a point to me, but that whole notion about okay, I could have killed somebody and all this other kind of stuff. First of all, I mean it was around 12 o'clock, okay, in the morning.
Hmm.
So there was no traffic. There was nothing going on out that way. So it was just another way of pulling somebody over. Another example, back in 2005. I was driving down 170 and I was going through Bell Ridge, and again, Bell Ridge is notorious for pulling black people over. That's a Bell Ridge, Charlotte, St. John, Pine Lawn, Crime Lawn, Bell North. I
Yes.
mean, they all have notorious reputations. So I'm
Yeah.
driving through Bell Ridge. I see the unmarked car sitting on the side of the highway. I drive
Hmm.
past him. It's raining. The pavement is wet. He pulls me over, and he says, matter of fact, I was driving a Lexus. I was driving an old school Lexus, and
Yeah.
he said you was doing 75 miles an hour, and I said no, I wasn't, sir. I was doing 55. He said no, my radar gun said you were doing 70. I said well, show me your radar gun. And so he takes my license and he snatches my temp tag out of my car,
Hmm.
snaps it and tears it. And then he
Wow.
brings me the ticket. He brings me the ticket. He said, "You gonna sign?" I said, "I'm not signing this ticket." I never talked back to the police. But that was one time I had to stand up for myself because I knew I wasn't speeding. I know where I was driving. I said, "Officer, I know where the hell I'm driving. I know where I'm at. I know what you guys do. But
Uh-huh.
there's no way I'm gonna drive 70 miles per hour when I'm seeing you sitting on the side of the highway. I'm not signing that ticket."
Right.
He eventually ended up, giving me some rigmarole, and then he gave me my license back. But my temp tag was torn, and
Right.
at that moment, that seed of hatred was
Hmm.
already planted through that negative experience that I had with the police officer. So those things stick out. I mean, I've had guns drawn on me by St. Louis Police Department, mistaken identity.
Hmm.
I had guns pulled on me on multiple occasions by St. Louis Police Department. Again, unjustly. So I can understand when the police get a little edgy, but sometimes they got to learn how to you use their best judgment because sometimes they get a little intoxicated with the power that they have.
And exactly. And that's where I'm wondering, where has the training has probably, not probably, it has changed from the 60s, 70s, early 80s to now, where back then it was community policing, to now it is interrogate and ask questions later, militarization, policing. I remember my first encounter was in grew up in Cool Valley. So my first encounter with the police was actually when I was probably like 11 or 12.
Mhm.
There was a white family that moved into the neighborhood, and they just turned up the race relations upside down. Before that, it was a mixed community. We all got along. The white kids and the black kids, we all played together. This family moves in. They tell the white kids, don't play with us anymore. They start racially taunting us now. So we started to taunt back. And apparently the family, the siblings or kids went and told their mom. Mom calls the police. The police come. They came to look for us, and we're still out in the street. We didn't
Right.
believe they were going to call the police on us. We thought they were just, yeah, whatever. So that he comes out, and see, this is once again different times. He came out. he did was a little bit stern with us, but he was stern with us like a father would be, and he did not come at us in a way that they came at you. He was just saying, "You guys, what are you doing?" You know, that type of interaction. He's like, "I don't want to hear from you all again. You all need, do something about it. I don't want to do." Just like a father. But we
Right.
were mad and saying, "Well, what about her? She called us this and that. You need to go talk to them too. Go talk to them." And he was
Right.
like, "I understand. Just leave each other alone. I do not want to come back here and see you all and
Right.
catch another call."
Right.
So that was, he didn't have to get out his car and be, evil with us. It was that type of talk. Now, fast forward to high school age, college age, when you run into the police, whether it be ticket or somehow we're just checking on things. Um, Pulled over just because it's four people, four blacks in a car riding. Can't believe that and it may be their car, you know.
Right.
It's
Right.
four black teenagers in the car. Oh, something suspicious. No, other than I'm using my parents' car or the car my parents got for me.
Right.
So, those type of things. Oh, we're just checking on things. They try to backtrack. They came to the car and looking in, trying to see what's going on, and just checking things. Oh, you have too much smoke coming out your exhaust. You need to check on that.
Right.
Okay. Just making up things. And versus you didn't really have to pull us over because the statistics show that 1 out of 5 black people, when they are pulled over, are charged with something or have an illegal substance, whatever. But we're targeted more. But 1 out of 3 whites are more likely to be carrying or possession of marijuana or a gun or a legal gun than us. So this is what Ferguson Police does. This is what all of these surrounding areas and these small jurisdictions, municipalities that you have spoke upon, this is what they do. And just to give everyone else who's watching across the country, I know many of you may not be immune to this as well, but here the racial lines between the county and where you live is drawn very clearly here, and how you are treated.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, Fox 2 put up an interesting stat. They said last year, 5,384 people were stopped,
mhm,
but 4,600 of those stops were on black people.
yes,
Okay, that is just amazing numbers. And then the other number was 47 out of that number of the
right,
searches. It was 611 total searches. It was only 47 whites that were searched and 582 blacks that were searched. So we're dealing with perception versus reality
mhm,
versus the primal fear. Because to me, we should have been had a discussion about race. But when you go to the root of the problem, which is still race, and them not talking about it, not just that, but we talking about wage inequality. Those things tie in hand in hand. When you got a
yes,
bunch of people living near or below the poverty line, and feeling oppressed, those things are going to happen. Those things are bound to happen. But it's the people, turning a blind eye to it. And it's also, there's a lot of us that need to get out there and vote and be more engaged in the community. It's not just a white thing. It's a black thing to a degree as well, because we have to get out and vote and be more proactive, and we have to actually give a damn about where we live. Taking
yes,
care of where we live. But first things first, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, Robin, and it's race. And
yes,
listen, with President Obama being in office, that has brought this elephant back to the forefront. I mean, Al Sharpton mentioned today. I mean, this summer. There have been 4 deaths on black unarmed men. I mean, my goodness, I thought it was 2014, but
Right.
like the good old boy network is still working.
Within this, and it happened within 3 weeks.
Yes,
Four.
this
That's been within 3 weeks.
yeah, it's
So it's crazy. It's ridiculous. We're supposed to be the most civilized country, the one that looked up to, the most technology advanced. It shouldn't happen, but it continually is. But yet we talk about all the bad things that goes on in Iraq, Iran, Syria, and how they don't have anything. Afghanistan, unrest and uncivilized, and some countries in like Sudan in Africa, in which there's always unrest and and acting. The behavior is reprehensible by those who are in power. But here we are, supposed to be the most democratic place in the world, and we're still treated like not even second class. We're still 3/5 of a man. So you want to go back to that? Let's.
Yeah, as that. I mean, like I said, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that just so disheartening, Robin. I mean, you look like you say other countries. I mean, they want to model themselves at the United States. I mean, with the exception of of the Middle East and the
Mhm.
constant conflicts, over there. But in America, I mean, there's still a lot of questions. I'm sorry, not questions, but there are a lot of things that need to be taken care of. I mean, since the days of slavery, that it's like the scar tissue from slavery still
Mhm.
haunts blacks today.
Yes. Now, speaking of that, actually, that brings me into the topic and speaking about Ferguson and the killing of Michael Brown. What I am speaking on our show, but this is being talking about basketball, sports show. This is a sports show. I had a I've been having a big problem with the lack of politically aware athletes out here who actually can put a voice and make a difference, especially here in this situation with, and it doesn't have to be black athletes. We need the white athletes to join as well, to know that this is not right. And in the past, I'm sure, Palmer, I can name five. You can name five real easy. Give me five politically athletes of the past. That's real easy. We can come up with Muhammad Ali, Arthur Ashe, Billie
Jim
Jean
Brown,
King, Jackie Robinson, Jim Brown, John Carlos,
and
um,
as recently LeBron James. I
and
mean,
and that's where we're coming on to now. See, okay, Palmer, here's the question. A lot of people like a lot of people like to put it at Michael Jordan's feet as when the athlete started to lose interest politically, or it wasn't good for him or her to be that way. So, do you think it is now with Michael Brown's death that and Trayvon Martin before this, that it's now time for athletes to pick it back up again and know and pick up that torch to help bring forward change?
yeah. Well, I guess if you take the athlete away, from the sport. I'm gonna narrow it down to to St. Louis in particular. I mean, we've had over the last few years a tremendous amount of athletes that went on to do some great things. Larry Hughes, Bradley Beal, Lauren Woods, Jahadi White, just
Yes.
Anthony Bonner, on and on and on. And listen, it would help. I mean, it would help. If you see their faces, but at the same time. these people that's busting windows and looting and reinforcing that negative stereotype that most whites feel,
Mhm.
and reinforcing that primal fear that they
Mhm.
have. I think it really doesn't matter what athlete comes to speak out, because again, once they get out of community and they go into a different tax bracket, it's not quote unquote kosher for them to come back to the hood, because they figure like, well, I've outgrown it. But there are certain people that they always remain grounded. I know if I was in that position, I would definitely help out, because I mean, and listen, it broke my heart looking at what happened to Quick Trip and all
Yes.
that stuff. I mean, those are places where I stopped and or we met somebody, to say, hey, let's meet the Quick Trip, right there at at High Mount and West Florissant. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody knew what it was. I mean, who didn't go to that Chinese restaurant when it used to be a Jack in the Box back in the day, or
Right.
Jason's restaurant? I
Yes,
mean, we
Jason.
talking about, I'm saying, the history and the fabric. And so these athletes need to be that in tune. They're not in tune like that, then I don't feel like they connected. But I think you onto something when they don't want to make any kind of interferences with what allows them to live that elevated lifestyle.
Right. And then there's this push, pull, and tug as being an athlete, because now with Michael Jordan coming out, and it just wasn't that he was an athlete, he became a brand. And many times once they get that first contract, it is or you become a celebrity, it's about branding yourself and making sure you are going to make money into perpetuity. I
Yeah.
mean, that your family will be taken care of. So for many of them, it means I can't do certain things in order to mess that up. Now, a lot of times that people like to put the blame toward, well, maybe it's the professional leagues. Really, it's not. Uh, Speaking on the NFL, NBA, they do not mind if you want to be politically active, as long as it doesn't hurt your standing as if you're going to get physically hurt or harmed. And I know that may be one thing that many players, especially here in St. Louis, would be afraid of. Do you think that, say, Rams players, Cardinals players would be, the hesitation is, especially right now in Ferguson, is more so like it's being injured or being caught up in something because they're there, that something may be heightened or not,
You
or
know,
no one would care.
I think the Rams are trying to be judicious, about it, about what they say, and how they treat this thing. I mean, I was out at Rams Park, and I mean, the players talk about it. I mean, you can't get away from it. I think the thing with the Cardinals, quite honestly, and this is just my opinion, I think
Yeah.
with the Cardinals, you look at the roster. I mean, how many African Americans are on that roster? I mean, so again, it's different. If Willie McGee, let's just say, Willie McGee and Terry Pendleton and Vince Coleman and Ozzie Smith, I'll be willing to wager that you would see some sort of presence from them, a Lou Brock or Bob Gibson, or something to that magnitude. But as far as the Cardinals go, I mean, don't hold your breath. But I mean, they can put up a token baseball field somewhere in South Ferguson,
Right.
another token field somewhere up in Normandy, a token field over there at the Wall Center. On Kings Highway. But what I say to that was, where was those damn baseball fields 30 years ago? So,
Right.
so again, I mean, that's how I feel about that whole situation as a whole, Robin. I just don't feel that I wouldn't hold my breath about any of the athletes getting involved, and mainly because they're trying to protect themselves, and not only protect themselves, but I think protect the brand which what they represent.
Mhm. Right, but and just to play devil's advocate too, that sometimes, and this is the main thing that I believe that the generation now, millennials, Gen Y, that they are willing to do, which is to that prior athletes who were politically active, socially conscious, and aware, are you willing to give up your career? Because that is a possibility. And many of them, especially we already know football players already have a short shelf life. So to give up your career right in the prime of your life is something that they are unwilling to do, unfortunately, although the players, at least on the Rams team, are more likely to know and have feelings about this because the NFL is comprised of more African American players and NBA as well. That you are going to have they may have at least had one incident with a police officer in St. Louis, whether it's St. Louis City or St. Louis County. You have had to experience that, or even in your hometown that you grew up in. You live here half of your time. So you have to know that something is amiss. And you can't tell me that you don't, because I do know that they used to, at least they used to, in Rams training camp, the rookies, when they went through the rookie
Symposium.
training or whatever that's called, that they were given lectures on where not to go in St. Louis and where to go. And where not to go was the ghetto in North County. So they have to know. And I'm just really I'm disappointed. If you can't march, why can't you come out and bring out water at least? At least the Rams could do. Make a donation. The players gather up together. You know what? We're going to make that donation to the family to support him for the funeral for Michael Brown. That I haven't heard from yet.
Yeah, and I like I say, the Rams are kind of mum on it. I mean, like I said, I know they did extend their condolences to the Brown family, but something that you alluded to earlier about speaking up. I mean, former Minnesota Vikings kicker, punter Chris Clurey spoke out about about gay marriage, and he wound up getting cut, and to a degree, he was blackballed.
Yes.
And he filed suit against the Minnesota Vikings, and I believe they settled at an undisclosed amount, and they said that they cut him because he was injured. But he strongly believes that he was cut because of his views about gay marriage, which I believe he supports. So I mean, and that's before the whole Michael Sam came out early this year. I mean, those things are those are landmines, Robin, for some of these athletes. They get out there. They want to take a stand for something. And then once you do, you're automatically tattooed with that brand. Like, that is who you are, and you represent this kind of people.
Right. And the thing is now that I can say, and you spoke about LeBron James and him being politically active or socially aware, and to an extent, he is. And what I feel like what athletes are now, they are at the moment. They haven't given it up for the movement. So for the moment, yes, he and the Miami Heat stood for Trayvon Martin. And also when Donald Sterling and his racist comments came about, basically almost every team was going. There were talks that people were going to walk out if nothing happened with that. So we did see that, but it's a moment because Palmer, with the Clippers being just sold, and Shelly Sterling still gets to be a #1 Clipper for life and hold that title, and still has some sort of, although she did sell it off to Steve Ballmer, that still is that dirty dirty rag or dirty, that just one little dirt spot that you can't get rid of, and she's still there. And the players who said that they were going to walk out if Donald Sterling and others are still in that organization. You know,
Well, I
where
mean,
is their next? Where is their next?
she didn't get the lifetime ban. It was Donald, and I think for once I was saying to myself, is somebody gonna stand up? Is somebody gonna make a damn statement? And LeBron did. Not only that, he used his power, his leverage. The NBA did not want a complete shutdown of the playoffs. That would have totally would have turned that league upside down. And then the thing about it, if had he was still the owner of the Clippers going to the season, there wouldn't be nobody playing. I mean, there was unification. There was
Yes.
unification across the entire line. And listen, there hasn't been a professional athlete to make that kind of stand in a very long time. And I agree it was in the moment, but it was something that was needed. And I was proud of LeBron James for doing that because, like people say, Michael never stood up for nothing.
Right.
You always heard that. What did Isaiah Thomas do and all these other guys? But here you are with and Kobe Bryant as well. But here you are with LeBron James, the best player in the NBA today, and using his leverage, his power, his influence, his iconic influence to bring about change. And that's, hey, listen, had it been, let's just throw out, let's say if it was Trevor Ariza, you think if Trevor Ariza said, you know what, I'm a boycott. I'm a boycott. You think the league is going to move because Trevor Ariza says that? No, that's not going to happen. But LeBron James, yes. So that's how I see where LeBron made an impact in this area. And I guess that's why I kind of, to a degree, I'm disappointed that there isn't that type of athlete to step forward in this situation just to say something, make a statement. But there you have it in a nutshell. And one more thing too. I mean, people was talking about Nelly, and Nelly hasn't said nothing. Check Instagram. I mean, he put something out. I mean, got over 10,000 likes. So I mean, all this criticism of Nelly not saying nothing is completely unjustified.
Right. I just, he's not here anymore, but he doesn't live here full time per se, as well. And but he does have he knows what it's like to be a black man living in University City. I'm sure he's been pulled over many times
Absolutely.
and,
Absolutely.
and harassed by police officers, and with his brother as well being locked up, and that situation, and I believe, if I can remember, that there was something fishy about that as well. So that everybody has that type of history. It's just now we need to have athletes that can take the moment, and us as well. I can't leave it up to an athlete, but especially here in Ferguson, because that's not their duty. But it would just help bring us even more together to know that they care, at least, because they want us to come to their games. Michael Brown is the target age for at 18 years old for the NFL. They want those 18-year-olds to watch the games, tweet about the games, and join fantasy football league, everything. Anything that has to do with the NFL, 18 is that target age where they want them to start in and they become a fan for life. And to know that, that the Rams haven't figured that out yet as an organization, to at least step up and do something do a little bit more, but everybody wants to wait and see. Sometimes when you wait and see, you become Rip Van Winkle and you miss the
Right.
whole movement. So,
Right. Right. I see what you're saying. I mean,
so
hey, listen, it makes sense. I like I said, I'm just, I'm still numb about this whole thing, and hopefully, we can get some peaceful justice
Yes.
as soon as possible. Because I'm telling you, Robin, I just haven't been able to enjoy sports since
Yes.
that just happened.
Right. Me neither. There's nothing to talk about but what's going on in Ferguson or lack thereof by the Ferguson Police Department and the St. Louis County Police Department and investigating what happened on Saturday, the lack thereof of their information. So there's nothing else to talk about, or it doesn't. I don't want to equate 9/11, but after 9/11, there was that eerie. Like, I can't talk. You just didn't want to talk about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
You,
absolutely.
but
Absolutely. You hit the nail around the head. I felt that same way, Robin. I felt the same exact way when 9/11 happened. Just that feeling of numbness, like what the hell is about to happen next? The world has been turned upside down.
and I feel like what we have here, just with the political, just going back to the athletes, they could change, they could be a part of changing something. And you know what? The one person that I know right now that is doing that is actually Ed O'Bannon, and for players' rights. He also, you spoke of Chris Cluey. He also felt there was a sense of blackballedness with him. Um, and his career didn't go as well, and some things with that. And now that the courts have said that you cannot video game video game makers, you cannot use the likeness of a college athlete. That's a major step, and he still has stayed with it. He could have easily given up on this, and
Yeah,
we wouldn't be where we are with players' rights, amateurs' rights in college athletics. And he's still continuing to fight, basically with him and a few others, and forgotten names in the past who were college athletes, but he's still leading that on with really by himself. And he stuck with it, and it's now becoming a movement. It's talking. People are saying, okay, there's time for a change. And I just wish that here in Ferguson that there was that type player too, and here to say, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm gonna jump on, and I'm gonna make this part of a movement. We have that with LeBron in a certain sense, but I just need that athlete who's really willing to, to go all in, and make it not for the moment, but for the movement.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that was a good example. Ed O'Bannon uh, was a phenomenal player at UCLA. Sold a lot of jerseys with his name on it, and you have to take your hat off to somebody sticking up for something, and stand with it. I mean, help. He has helped so many young men and women now down the line just by
Hmm.
bringing this fight to the surface and winning the fight on the surface, and that's what we're going to need with this Michael Brown situation. We're going to need somebody. There has to be that person who can be able to unify the voices and show that city is unified. That we all for one cause. One, we're here for peace. We just want to live our lives and enjoy what's supposed to be the American dream. So
Yes.
um, it takes sometimes it takes somebody that's really vigilant and that's willing to stick with it. But at the same time, it starts at home, Robin. I mean, the
Yes.
only way that you can collectively get it is to do your part, do your individual part, and that's all you can do at the end of the day.
Okay. Now we talked about some problem. We talked about the problem. Do you have any solutions that we? It doesn't necessarily have to be an athlete, but what solutions do you have that could be helpful for this case with Michael Brown and other young black men just policing in America, and basically that the black man, or is you all are public enemy number one.
Well, public enemy number one, two, three, and four. Uh, I think, Robin, it comes back to everybody. I'm talking, whites, blacks, having a discussion about race. I mean, when I read tweets and I read Facebook comments by, it's almost when you can read certain comments, you can tell, okay, ultra white conservative. Okay,
Mhm.
you can tell like with another comment, okay, this person is moderate or whatnot. I mean, it's real easy to tell. Okay, and they're so detached. They're so detached because in their mind they think it's a fundamental flaw with us. But again, like I said earlier, those that the after effects of slavery has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. We grew up in a time where we were taught about the marches, the church bombings in Birmingham and slavery and all of those things of that nature. It seemed like it's been lost on an entire generation. It's like there's not enough young people with that same type of black pride that
Yes.
we had, coming out of school. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So a
Mhm.
whole generation was lost. But at some point in time, we have to say, okay, enough is enough, and we're going to have to show the kids of the future the way it's supposed to be done and done the right way. And listen, everybody racially profiles. I mean that we all do that to some degree.
Yeah.
It just angers me that when I read comments that a white person will make, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, but my goodness, I mean you look at the demographics. You know what? There are two people that get discriminated against: black people and poor white people. Okay,
Mhm.
and when it all boils down to it, a white person see a poverty, or as they say, a white trashy person, or the other cute name they like to give each other when they're talking down to each other. When they're not discriminating against that, they look at them as if they are black to a
Mhm.
degree, because there are a lot of whites that live in Ferguson, and there are a
Yes.
lot of people that are impoverished altogether. So we
Mhm.
talk we got to have a conversation about race, and we got to have a conversation about wage inequality, because that plays a big role, Robin. And until we start having some serious discussions about that, I'm afraid, we're just going to be keep going around in the same circle. And this circle's been going around for what, maybe 300 years?
Right. I think that and you alluded to that. I think where another minority set of people have taught their children never forget. And you know what I'm alluding to,
Yes, yes,
which minority group.
yes.
They told them never forget about what happened to them. Somewhere along the line, our elders did not say that to us, and it was dropped, and it's done us a great disservice in that we don't know our history and haven't kept it up, because if we still held up that mantle of never forget, this wouldn't be happening. We would
No,
we would still want to vote and not have voter apathy. So one of my, and you talked about it earlier, is number one thing we have to do, expect keeping it local in St. Louis. When voting comes around, it has to be to get young people to vote. I don't know about you, Palmer, but when I was in high school, they would give us the voting registration cards, and for young men, um, you all had to do that selective service.
hmm hmm
That was there. I'm not sure now because I haven't been in the high schools lately. But when that 18th birthday or during the spring or fall came around, immediately they handed those out, where you had to come to the office to get it. There was an announcement for that, for you to do that. I don't know how much that's done now, but to get that push again for kids to be active needs to happen more within the schools to say, hey, let's do that. And parents are loving to celebrate their children's 18th birthday. They get so happy about that. Instead of, whether it's a car or some other big gift, you know what? Go give them, or really it's 17 and a half because they can register at that age, is to give them the voting registration and sign up to vote, to become a voter.
Yeah.
That needs to happen. That should be your rite of passage in your family, especially amongst us black families. We struggled, we died for this right to vote more than anybody else more than anyone in the world. We have struggled for the right to vote, and it's been lost, like you said, in this generation. So that is something that I would like for us, something to be done. And also another solution, or just being active. I know that today the police would like for protesters to just only do day protesting instead of evening protests because of the unrest here during those evening hours. One thing that I like to do is, you're covering football. It's football season, right? Guess who? You graduated from, you went to North County Tech, Riverview, McClure. Guess who those teams are comprised of? Black students. I challenge those football coaches and those parents to bring their children down to a day protest and spend the day out there and showing that this affects me, because they need to know that and I'm sure they know that they are Michael Brown too, and the white kids need to come out. It has to be more unity in that. If you all feel like you are brothers, then you go as a white player who, if you're on that team, or as the white coach, you take those young men down there so they can be more socially aware, politically aware, and do it the right way. That type of thing needs to start happening as well. I don't mind, many African American coaches, they say they put their young men in collared shirts and ties. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, they're showing that they have some class, but this would be even more classier, and letting those students know too as well that you are the change here. This is going to start with you. So that would be my suggestions in this whole Ferguson, Michael Brown activity.
Well, let's see how it pans out. Like I say, my thoughts, prayers are definitely with the family and with the whole city, and hopefully there will be swift and peaceful justice. And it's time for a lot of those people to move on, especially the parents. And my heart goes out to the parents, because they don't even have they never had a chance to really grieve with all the shenanigans that's going on. So again, like I say, my condolences go out to them, and like I say, I'm just praying for peace, Rob.
Right. Me as well. I never thought that we'd get here in Ferguson or in North County area. Never thought at this time, at least. But it's happening, and I know that change will come, and when it happens, it'll just be awesome, and I'll be happy that I was a part of it. Let's wrap this up. I'm going to wrap it up, everybody. We're going to go to a random aspect of the show, and I just want to give a shout out to Monet Davis, the little girl who is leading her team to the Little League World Series from Philadelphia. The pitcher, she deserves a round of applause.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's the African American girl leading her team, can throw a fastball and a curveball at 70 miles an hour, and they are now in the Little League World Series
How
due
about that?
to her efforts.
How about that? How about
So, got it. All girls rule the world, as
that?
Beyonce says. So, yes. So, with that, Palmer, what's going on? The Rams play Green Bay. Anything new or?
Um, Michael Sam got into a little scuffle yesterday with Joe Barksdale. I thought that was kind of funny.
Okay.
Uh, but I mean, outside of that, I mean, got more videos up on our YouTube channel, so subscribe to the St. Louis American videos. I know we've been having some audio issues, but we try to get those things rectified. You can follow me at the Legend Kill with 1L, and I'm always working, Robin. So I always got my hands in a whole bunch of other stuff.
Right. And also, and I'm still going to give you all even more a shout out. So, also follow the St. Louis American on Twitter and Facebook for the latest and most informed news about what's going on in Ferguson and Michael Brown. They are one of the best to rely on as far as media. The other media outlets are doing their best, but it's just not it. So follow the St. Louis American on Twitter and Facebook, and to get the latest news, or on their website to get the latest and greatest accurate information about Ferguson and Michael Brown's death. And you can always follow me on Twitter, everybody. I'm at Robin Birdfly, Robin with a Y. And just tune in, and I'll let you know when we're going to have the next show, the 3R show, the right, the wrong, and the random. Thanks, everybody. Until I see you the next time, keep hooping.
Thanks, Robin.
All right.